tell us what your first memory of the joy of cooking that you have, where cooking transformed from something that you did just to make food to something that you loved?
Yeah. I mean, I have so many memories of cooking, obviously, like I think most of us do. But where it really transformed for me was in high school. I was taking culinary classes that Asheville High provided, and I had an instructor, Chef Monson, and she was getting me into it. And then she had brought up the idea of like competition cooking, essentially. And so they had a team at the high school, and we didn't have tryouts for that, but sort of just like a day where we would went through our skills and we learned how to like butcher chicken. And that was my first time ever doing that, and that was like really cool for me. And so just like that first day of kind of learning about competition cooking, but also just like sort of the basics that we learned here even, it was a big step in like my way of thinking about it. Definitely transformed that for me. So that was probably my first real memory of it, was in high school, junior year probably.
So at what point did you go from really enjoying cooking to deciding that that was something that you might want to make a living at?
Yeah, around the same time, so junior, senior year of high school, taking those classes and realizing just how many options there were. So I was planning on playing lacrosse in college and going to a four-year university, but just, I mean, getting into this and realizing how many options there are, and working in restaurants and like the community that's involved, being able to meet people and become family with them after like a week or 2 weeks of working with them. That's one of the big things that made me realize I want to take this really seriously, is because of the community involved, and then just all of the options. They like you can go anywhere and get a job in this industry, and to be able to learn some of the best stuff you can learn about it in 2 years right across the street from where I went to high school just seemed like the best and the most logical option for me. Yeah.
So what have been the differences and maybe some of the similarities too between your two competition experiences,
Mm-hmm.
between competing at Asheville High versus competing here at AB Tech?
It's a big step up in skill. I think a lot of the stuff that we would do for high school and the competition is kind of what you learn in the first year here, just in regular class. And so in high school, having those standards was a big deal. And you go to competition, and like not a lot of high schoolers know about those standards. Here, that's the regular. And then so when you go into competition here, the standards are just raised even higher, which is amazing, and it really pushes you. And a lot more of that organization and sanitation and stuff like that we focus on here, and just being perfect, especially for competition. And then that food is kind of what follows, and you learn so much about that, and you learn how to cook very certain things or butcher a fish in 12 minutes, and it's such a specific skill, but it can be translated so well to the actual industry, and just those like all-around skills is a big deal. And just that, definitely just the step up of like standards essentially is the difference.
It speaks highly of your skill level that you're a first-year student coming in through your summer internship this year, and then around the horn again to your second year coming up, that you're a competitor already in this first year. Think you'll do it again next year?
It's something I'll have to consider. I think that my experience with this specific team has been so special that I can't really imagine myself doing it with another team. And I mean, we have like leaders on this team that have done it before, like Abby and Shahida, and they've made the process just so much smoother for all of us because they have that experience and because they're such leaders. And so it's something I have to think about, and I'm not sure if I really want to put that same effort in next year, because I want to keep this kind of memory of such a special team what it is. But solo competition is something that I've thought about, and if that's an option, it might be a route that I take.
If there's one thing that you could go back in time and say to yourself the first time that you walked into the doors here at AB Tech as a culinary student, just a word of advice that you might give yourself, what might that be?
So,
or to say to a new student coming
Yeah.
through the doors, because we'll have a whole fresh gang of 32
Yeah.
coming through in, gosh, 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
No, absolutely. I mean, the biggest thing is just to listen and take it all in. And I think that the way you can succeed best here is just by never thinking you're too good to learn more. I mean, especially coming in as a first-year student, there's so much for you to learn. And then leaving as a second-year student, there's still so much for you to learn that you're not able to learn here, or that it's just, there's always more. And so just kind of keeping your head down, asking questions, not being afraid to ask those questions, listening to every little bit we have three main instructors for like our first years and then our second year, and just take bits and pieces from all of them and kind of create your own identity as far as cooking goes.